earlier this week I was asked by somebody if I would do a pen plot for them. They had bought a digital artwork that included a download of the SVG file that's needed to do a pen plot, but they didn't have access to a pen plot, so I said I'd do it for them. But I'm not the artist, and I'm also not the owner, I'm just the printer. And when I posted this onto Twitter, it fired up a couple of questions about not ownership, but who signs it, how you mark it. And I thought I would make a quick video today talking about edition numbering for both generative art and pen plotting, because there's quite a lot of crossover. So that's what we're doing today. So let's start with an example from the real world, maybe. Say you have an artist who's going to do an etching on a copper plate like this, and then they're going to do a limited edition print run of about 80. They would first etch this, obviously, and then take it to a printer who would then print your 80 limited edition. And they would be numbered like 1 out of 80, 2 out of 80, 3 out of 80, and so on. So far, that's straightforward. But then you also have, before the final prints get made, the printer will do a bunch of what's called artist proof. So the artist can look at those and then make changes or decide to use different ink, different paper, that type of thing. And then those will be labelled with AP for artist proof. And they are limited to around 10% of the total run. So if you have an 80 limited edition of 80, there will be about up to 8 maximum artist proof. And then, because the printer's printed them, and well, we'll get onto the reasons why later, but the printer might have 1 or 2 that's called a printer's proof that's marked with a P. When they get sold, what often happens is the gallery will sell their 80 first. This is kind of an etiquette thing. Once they're sold out, then the artist can choose to, if they want to, sell their artist proof, which may just be marked with an AP, or they may be numbered like 1 out of 5 or 2 out of 5. Once they're all sold, the printer could take one of their printer proof and then choose to sell that. That's kind of like their pension fund in a way. So they do all these things, they charge their whatever fee they do, and then in the future, if an artist becomes really popular or really famous and all the limited edition have sold out, then the printer can go back through their archives, then start to pull out these printers proof and sell them. So that's roughly how that works. There's maybe one more thing, which is after the printer and the artist have done their limited edition of 80, they would then put scratches on the copper plate here and then do another print where you've shown that it's been ruined, and that's called a cancellation print. That's a CP. So that's how printing works in the real world. Now, how can we apply that to pen plotting and to generative art? Let me deal with this. Here we go. What do you think? Do you think this is going to do it? Do you think this is going to soundproof enough? So now we've got, let me just show. Now we've got this end of the room is kind of the talking bit. I'm not even sure if this blanket here is going to be enough to stop the echo, but we'll give it a go. It's turning into a proper little YouTube studio over here. Let's find out. Anyway, I need to put you up here. So the problem comes with generative art, not really a problem, unique feature of generative art, is the idea is you release a series, but every single one of them is different. So unlike our earlier copper plate that's inscribed where the idea is every single one of them to be identical, 256 of the same thing, in generative art we might do a release that's got 256 pieces in it, but every single one of them is different. So in this case, here's one of mine. Here's 2 different pieces from the same release, and obviously they're completely different. So this is a one-off, and this is also a one-off. So every single one of them is a one of one, but there's 256 in the whole collection. So people talk about, in generative art world, that we might have, here's those, they use this, a 1 of 1 of X, or 1 of 1 of X. And this is a nice way of sort of describing generative art. Oh, it's a 1 of 1 of X. However, that doesn't tell you if you've got 256 in the whole drop. That's the worst 5 error. It doesn't tell you which one out of the 256 it is. So you could... I've lost my tissue. 1 second. So you could go 1 of 1, 256, and then go number 7 X, and then sign it here. So you could do that, and then the other one is number 8, number 9, and so on. Now, I'm not keen on that. That's fine. You can do it that way. What I prefer to do is, if there's 256, I will say, oh, this is number 7 out of 256, and it's a VE. Now, VE stands for variable addition. So this is a thing that again happens in print. I could do 20 copper plates of a print and then come in and finish it up with hand embellishment or adding paint to it. So I would use VE, which you can also write as VE, or you can also have it as EV. There's a truck reversing outside. Let's just wait for that to go. I am very tired. This is true. There's people outside on the truck, but let's just keep going on anyway. So, an example of this, if I get rid of this again, is in the pen plotting world with these 3 pen plots. This is 1 of 3 EV, this is 2 of 3 EV, and then this is 3 of 3 EV. So I'm showing there's only ever going to be 3 of this in black on white. I might do another limited edition where they're a different colour, different ink, different paper, but there's only 3 of these, but they're all different, so they're edition variable or variable edition. That's how I'm doing those ones. Going back briefly to generative art, when artists are developing generative art projects, they are using test networks and they have all their previews up until the point they're ready to launch it. At that point, you then have your however many editions, but the stuff before that's called out of band, or lots of people call it out of band, and those are the digital equivalent of artist proofs and artist test prints. So when I was doing this project, that is a print and NFT project, so this is an open edition, so they're labeled 4 and 9, but then these ones are prints from me testing the code and also testing the print. So these are artist proof, so AP, and then on this one you can see where I've tested different pens to see how well it works on the paper. I'm sorry this video is really disjointed, but there's lots of... They're actually... Ooh, this is inside scoop. The BBC are filming a TV series actually out in the courtyard out here. And so it's full of people all walking around sizing things up and then trying to cover up anything modern to make it look old, and then putting set dressing out. So they're not doing that quite yet. They're just talking about it and moving things around, which is why it's quite busy out there. I may show you some of that in a future video, which will be fun. Getting back to our pen plots, if we now have the option of your limited edition, number 1 out of 256, variable edition, right? And then we've also got artist proof, or AP, written like that. We have printer's proof, or printer's proof, written like that. And then you also have your CI, which is your cancellation. So that's the one that we scratch, saying there's not going to be any more of these. So we have all of these that we can use for our pen plots as well. So I use this for pen plots, and for the pen plot that I did for somebody the other day, I used PP to indicate that it was a printer's proof, and then I signed it on the back. So I'm saying I'm not the artist, I'm not signing as the artist, I'm not additioning it, I'm not titling it, it's just I've done it as a printer's proof, and that's how I indicate that I'm the pen plotter for that piece, but I'm not the artist, I'm not the owner, I'm just the printer. And I might also make my own copy for my own records, but that's just so I can enjoy it now then. So that's my quick overview of... Oh, wait, one more thing. 2 more things. If you do generative art and then you sell the prints of it, the first person might buy it. So they've bought a print. And then you're like, okay, then that's print number 24 out of 256, and it's a variable addition. But then that person sells it to another person who also wants a print, and if you've decided that you're going to allow more than one print, then you need to indicate that this is the first version, this is the second version, but it's not limited edition if that's what you're doing. If this person keeps selling it and you're going to keep offering prints to every single person who buys it, then you sort of need to indicate that this is the first one, the second one, the third one, the fourth one. And because you don't know how many there's going to be, again, it's an open edition, you might want to go, this is 24, and then start using Roman numerals, 256, and then the second one, the third one, and then you can indicate it that way. That's if you're going to do more than one print of a generative art. The important thing to remember is that none of this really matters as long as you're roughly consistent. Say you're a generative artist now, and then you make some prints, and then you become world famous, and then the early buyers have the early prints, then the art experts will go, oh, well, this is the phase where Daniel numbered his editions in this way, and then later on he numbers them in that way. So should you ever become famous enough that whether you have a first edition or a second edition or what type of print it is, and you're still alive, then you can authenticate them and tell them. So at the end of the day, it just comes down to personal preference, but it's letting you know that there are ways of doing it. I think variable addition is a good way of doing it. Print as proof is a good thing you can use, and also an artist proof if you want to print out-of-band generative art editions. But remember, 10% of the total run. And I think that wraps it up because it's getting really noisy out there. See you next time.